Well, after reviewing a pretty meh movie made for kids, why don't we shake it up and watch something different? What came out this weekend?
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Oh my god. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the long-awaited sequel to the beloved original released back in 2018. Here, we follow Miles Morales as he tries to juggle his life as Spider-Man while also keeping his civilian life under control. Once Gwen shows up from her dimension, Miles is thrust into an adventure unlike anything you've seen before in film. I wasn't kidding in the title of this video. I legitimately believe that this film is going to change the course of animation forever. Every single frame of this movie is so meticulously crafted through its insane variety of animation and art styles that you will probably forget to blink while watching it. Never before have I seen a film quite like this, and will probably never see again until part 2 of this comes out. Yes, this should be mentioned, this is in fact part 1 of 2. It was originally marketed that way when the first trailer came out, but I guess the studio was worried people wouldn't come to see it if they knew it was a two-parter. While I love films split into multiple parts like this, it does end up leaving the movie on a cliffhanger that might make some people mad they didn't get a true ending. But, if you're like me, that ending leaves you wanting more right then and there, and I think that's going to lead to the follow-up having a huge box office gross. It's not just the animation that needs to be applauded here. The story and how it grows these characters should get just as much attention. While I know there's people out there worried that the greater scope of this film compared to the first would put Miles more in the background and not really give him much of a story, it's in fact quite the opposite. Like the first, they cleverly found ways to have Miles' story be directly tied to the multiverse and the epic story surrounding it. The journey this film sets not only him on, but other characters like Gwen and Miguel O'Hara have me insanely excited. The directors and writers clearly knew that if this film was going to work, then the narrative and characters had to be as strong, if not stronger, than the first. What's interesting to think about with this film compared to practically every other animated film out there is how much this movie uses animation not just as a style, but truly as a tool to accomplish feats that are impossible in any other way. While studios like DreamWorks, Disney, and Pixar have created some truly incredible animated films, both technology-wise and stylistically, I've often never really felt at awe by the animation itself. Sure, it always looks incredible and can be a sight to behold, but they never really make my mind wonder what else could be possible through this medium. By combining dozens upon dozens of different animation styles and techniques, this movie truly makes me wonder what more could be done. How can we continue to push the boundary of what's possible with animation and, in tandem, what films should be done with animation? There's been a debate online for a while about how things like superhero movies and video game adaptations shouldn't be live action but should instead be animated, and after watching this film, I kind of agree with that. When you adapt a video game to live action, you can lose so much of the style that made the game so beloved in the first place. When you make something like a superhero movie into live action, you're constantly met with the problems of how do we pull this off with real people, and are often met with things like how can these impossible feats fit into the realm of reality. While there's been many films that have been able to answer these questions, there's still that problem of visual style. A constant critique of the MCU is its lack of interesting visuals. Many of their movies are filled with static images on green screen, filled with boring landscapes and fight scenes that, while not bad, don't make me sit in awe at what I'm viewing. While I think there's filmmakers that have been able to work past these limitations, the more these movies contain boring visuals, the more I begin to side with people saying they should be animated. You look at any fight scene in this movie, and you'll begin to wonder why we're accepting the love and thunders of the superhero genre when stuff like this can be achieved. Another key factor to the success of this movie is that it's produced by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. For those unaware, these are the guys responsible for Clone High, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the 21 Jump Street movies, the Lego Movie, and the Mitchells vs. the Machines. These guys, whenever their handprints gets on something, you know it's going to be something special. Every animated project they've worked on, whether it be something they directed or not, always brings something new and fresh to the table. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs gave us this over-exaggerated and zany style of animation that really wasn't seen in 3D animation at the time. The Lego Movie fooled a lot of people into thinking it was stop motion because of how insanely good and detailed the animation was. And Mitchells vs. the Machines was a perfect balance of combining 3D animation with 2D sketches over top of it. Rather than follow what other studios were doing, these guys always championed variety, and in doing so, continued to push the boundaries of what's possible with animation, which led to Into the Spider-Verse. But it's not just the importance of animation these guys understand. They know that if the characters don't work, then the film doesn't work. Often their films and shows are filled with characters with simple and understandable goals, which allow for a lot of room to explore these characters in ways that can ultimately change them by the end. It may sound like I'm saying their writing is simple, but it's honestly anything but. That's why I'm still really mad that Lucasfilm fired them from the Han Solo movie. I will bet you any amount of money that the film they were working on was infinitely more creative and interesting than the one that we got. Everything, from the pitch-perfect cast to its epic story and genre-defining animation, makes Across the Spider-Verse not just one of the greatest animated films of all time, but one of the greatest films of all time. While it seemed damn near impossible to top the first one, this film miraculously found a way, and then some. I truly cannot stress enough how much you need to see this film in a theater. It's going to change everything, and I hope you can say you were there when it did. I'm going to give Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse a 10 out of 10.